Good evening, D&B Legacy League, and welcome to the third episode of the Beltway Report. I am Jameson Helfrich, and joining me this week is Jason Hoffman. Jason, how you doing tonight?
Doing awesome. Yeah, happy 420 to you, Jameson. Glad you could make it through. Yeah.
Blaze it, blaze it. All right. So on this wonderful cannabis eve, we have one BCQ to report on. So we had the Dice City Games BCQ, the Legacy Rumble, and DMV Legacy League qualifier on the 12th of April, which was now a little over a week ago. So not this past weekend, but the weekend before that. And you can see here lovely top 8 results from our DMVLegacyLeague.com website. Oh, what a great website. First place here was Jordan McCutcheon on Colorless Painter, and second place was Ket No on Colorless Tron. So talk to me about this matchup. Were you at this event? Or
I was, yeah. I did obviously did not top 8. I was there struggling. I was one of the Demir tempo people queued into all of the kind of Tron, colorless shenanigans going on. So I feel like that's a really tough matchup. It was a good day. We were talking about this before the stream. It was a really good day to register Karn. Having that Karn mirror at the end there. As you can see, there's a lot of artifacts in the top 8 here. We see a repeat of the Welder Cam, which has been really hot in this area. I think as people are sort of figuring that out. I know Kemper. I play with him a lot, and he was on the Painter version earlier, and it looks like he dropped that entirely to really just focus on that Welder Cam combo, and I saw a lot more of those that weekend as well. So really some interesting innovations coming through in the DMV area.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I think the last time we checked in on the Welder Cam decks, that seemed to be the way things were going, is Painter Servant was just not cutting the mustard anymore, because we have plenty of other ways with Welder Cam to be able to kill people instantaneously. A lot of things do it. So
I did want to mention, so actually Jordan already had an invitation. So the invite passed down to Joshua on four-color loam. So congratulations to him as well. Congratulations to all the top 8, but got 2 invites out of this one. So awesome.
Wow, wait, awesome. 4-color loam. What year is it?
Yeah. I know it is 420, but that is I did get that one correct, I believe. He had a very interesting a deck there.
Yeah,
he told me he was happy to
Punishing Fire in this deck. What?
Yeah. Very good into the fair matchups, a little tough into those the kind of Cam Welder and the Karn stuff. So he told me that he was very happy to not have had to play those for his place. So must be a little bit of a tough matchup for him. They've got a Pithing Needle, but it can be a little tough, I think. Trying to grist into a Karn and things like that.
Yeah, for sure. I think there's a lot of creature removal here. We got 4 swords and 3 punishing fire, and so if you're not playing against a deck that really cares much about its creatures, like those Tron decks, you are you're going to be behind the ball until you get to sideboarding.
Yeah, so, game 1, you're really just looking for Wasteland, I think, and trying to kind of loam Wasteland them. But if you get draw the wrong part of your deck, a lot of those spells, like you mentioned, swords, just not doing almost anything in the matchup.
Yeah.
And without the blue counter spell, it can be tough for sure.
Yeah, my understanding is Josh has never stopped playing 4-color loam.
Yeah, he's diehard.
Just keeps playing it. And is now has an invite to the DMV Legacy League Invitational, which means that I presume he will also be playing 4-color loam at that event later this year.
You gotta dance with the girl who brought you, so yeah, I think he's gonna stay with that.
Yeah,
he's a diehard. He's an expert too. He's very good.
Yeah. So yeah, it looks like there's also a couple of Demir Tempo decks in the top 8, and it's not clear. I don't have the bracket in front of me, but it's possible that they ran into the Tron decks and which are buzzsaws for those blue decks.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think they both got beat by one. I actually watched. I was there and I watched. Let's see, who did I see? I watched Kiet beaten up on Wiley a little bit. There was an interesting play at one point to kind of close out game 3, I believe, where Kiet he flashed in a sorry a disruptor flute in response to a fetch land to stop a bowmaster and swing in for lethal. So it was a very exciting little finish to that one.
Oh, wow.
But that's a tough matchup. It's a really tough matchup, and now he's an extremely talented player as well, who's been on this deck for a while.
Yeah. Well, all right. And so as we noted, so Joshua invite passed down because this was a 2-slot BCQ, which means it was just because it was a premium BCQ, which is an event that only our gold stores can host. So we'll shout them out a little bit later to go over who they all are. But that's the benefit of attending those premium BCQs, the 2-slotters, is that you don't even have to make the finals really necessarily to qualify. You can make it up to third place and you can pick it up that way.
Yeah, especially as we get deeper into the season, those the folks that are really good are going to be in those top 8. So you may not have to get actually first or second place to get one of these infights. So keep on showing up.
Yeah. All right. So speaking of Demir Tempo, which we were just talking about recently, so you mentioned that there was a list of blue black tempo that you saw recently that caught your eye.
Yeah, so as we're thinking about Secrets of Strixhaven cards coming in, Flow State being a card that I know a lot of people are very excited about, Demir Tempo being a prime candidate to benefit from that. This was an interesting list that caught my eye. I think with Flow State, in my opinion, when you're getting that cheap card draw, you either want really cheap spells to play, so that might be Nethergoyts and a bunch of 1-drops and things like that, or you can go for additional forces and free spells like Force of Negation, and this list would be one of those kind of there's 2 schools on the Demir Tempo right now, which is the do you play Nethergoyf or do you not? And I think this would be the other side of the package where you might try to go a little bit bigger than the ones that are playing Flow State, maybe like a 2 or 3 copy, and then that being your top end on that side. And then on this side, you're sort of trying to fill your graveyard for Murktide. I realize it's a little bit of a non-bow, but maybe you trim off that 4th Murktide, shave a couple of these here, and I think you could put 4 and slot that into this list. So I just thought it was, it's not a ton different than the other ones, but notably, there's no Kaito here. They are going for really like the Murktide being the finisher. Orcish Bowmaster obviously for the mirrors and for the blue mirrors, and then Tamio being just the best 1-drop in the format in my opinion. Having a few more forces to kind of protect her. Full 4 set of days, which a lot of lists are still on 3 days for Wasteland, but this one going the full 4. So there's just 10 free counter spells in this version. I think that's something to watch out for as we're getting more card draw. I think that's kind of exactly what you want with that type of deck. Notably as well, I don't, maybe you shave 1 or maybe you don't use that in this, but this also has 2 preordained. So it almost looks like this kind of like a pre-Flow State version of a potential Flow State deck, in my opinion, where they're kind of maxing out the sorceries and instants and eschewing like the artifacts and planeswalkers that make the Nethergoyf more powerful in the other version.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Like it's as if they're already like prepped, because this version is already like it's more compatible with Flow State. It's easier to slide Flow State right into this deck list than the other kind of versions of Blue Black Tempo. I wonder if also you mentioned the sort of bit of non-bow with Murktide region. I wonder if we might see I suppose it could be like Quantum Riddlers, maybe even, because
Mm-hmm.
you could warp them in as a way to kind of reduce the mana costs to get
Yep.
some value out of the flow state. Um,
Absolutely.
and I'm not sure. It's very interesting concept, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure that we'll see a lot of experimenting with it. I'm curious to see if this card does stick. It's always on the borderline. Is it gonna break the format, or is it even gonna be playable at all? And so it's one of the others. Either you can't play it at all, or it's totally broken.
Yeah. One thing I can guarantee, though, people are going to be jamming it in these first few weeks. So you'll probably see a lot of it, and it might not do well in certain shells, but I think we'll find a home for it. I think there's something to that list. The Japanese players are sort of known for their innovation. We in our area can get a little bit. So, especially like the DMV, where you're sort of like looking at, kind of net deathing other lists. But this was a tournament, so this was in paper tournament, and so this was interesting result there. So I like that. The other homes for it are, I think we could find it anywhere. I mean, I think it remains to be seen. Like you said, it may end up being a better control tool, because I think you really, in Legacy, I heard you say it last week, you don't really want to be casting a sorcery speed anticipate.
Mm-hmm.
You really do want the second card. So if it's sitting in your hand, and you can't cast it for 2, I think that's going to be a problem. One of the things I do like about the Manuhito list was, with more spells, a couple more pitch spells, you can just toss it to a force as well. So if it's sitting there only drawing you 1, so yeah, we'll see. It's exciting, though, I think.
Yeah, very cool. So we'll
Yeah.
see. I think we discussed this earlier. The Strixhaven cards drop on Magic Online, I think tomorrow.
I think so. Yeah, I believe
Yeah.
it's tomorrow. Yeah, you can play it in paper today, and obviously this week for your locals. But I believe they drop tomorrow. So get all your tickets stored up. They're going to be expensive the first few days they drop, if you're trying to get those, if you even can.
Yeah.
But you'll probably start seeing tournament results, like, I would expect this weekend. Maybe some
See a couple trophies
MTGO
roll
stuff.
in.
Yeah, some
Yeah.
trophies roll in. Yeah. So those
Yeah.
grinders, they're pumping through five matches in a couple days, a day or two.
All right. So speaking of Secrets of Strixhaven, the set is now fully spoiled. I don't think we had all of the spoilers last time we had an episode up here. So we got a few new cards to talk about, and have a chance to get some
Yeah, there's
final
been
thoughts
one.
on the ones that we have.
Yeah, there's been one I've been jamming in my testing, which is a Prismari charm.
Hmm.
I've been trying out a couple of copies of that in the blue-red sneak-in show. So I don't have a deck list up for that. I didn't have time to send that through, but there's a few versions of show and tell now. Obviously, there's the green version that's been doing really well in the hands of Brady Monroe and a few other folks in this area. There's also the blue-red splashing green, some addition, hand protection, counter magic. I think it's has been historically better into the blue black, which is one of the worst matchups for that, being that they can pick apart your hand several different ways. They can mess with your mana. Personally, I have been liking playing a couple of these Prismari charms. A little bit of a different strategy, where your mana base is a little more clean by keeping only 2 colors, and playing an additional land like Brady has. He has 20 lands. And that allows for you to fetch basics a little bit more into the Dimir tempo. Prismari charm, I don't know, yeah, you guys brought it up there. So it can do a lot of things. In the absence of anything to do on turn 2, if you just have 2 mana open, you just surveil, draw cards. You're looking for your combo, looking for counter magic, whatever you need. It cleanly answers Bowmaster if they just cast it without you having drawn anything. You can do it in response to like a brainstorm or something like that. If you have 3 mana, kill the Bowmaster, kill the little guy. You can also bounce a lot of trouble permanents. So if it's a Murktide again, If you're looking at something like a bridge, which has been unbeatable for me in the games, in the versions that don't have any bounce effect in the main. So I think this just it's it's not an amazing card, but I think it just does enough to really like shore up some of the matchups. It's good at killing some of the little cats and different tokens. Just all you want oftentimes with the Sneak and Show deck is one or two more turns against the sort of fairish decks. And I think this can give it to you and can get you out of some jams. So I'm excited to try this week in our locals.
Yeah, I mean, I saw this card and I was like, oh yeah, this is a charm. This is a good card.
Yeah.
Finally,
Yeah.
like the charms have been so underwhelming for me by and large for like a long time, and I saw this one and I was immediately like, fuck yeah, man, that's what I want. Like,
yeah,
because it's got the fork bolt mode, which is like the max value on forked bolt. And then it's got or the fire if you want.
And you don't need 2 targets, notably. So
yes,
up
and then you also have bounce. So like it can handle go wide little dorks with the fire mode, and then it has it can go it can bounce a big permanent.
I lost sound here. Can you guys...
might be having a bit of technical difficulties, so we'll get those resolved. But yeah, I think and then on top of it, it's actually like a pretty respectable cantrip, if that's the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
And can kind of keep you on schedule that way. So even in like a matchup where you're not dealing with permanents on the board at all, it's still like does a very respectable cantripping job. It digs 3 cards deep and surveils, so it can set up, even in non-Sneak and Show decks, you can set up things like Murktide Regent or Flow State, as we discussed. You put some of those spells to the graveyard. So I really like
power up your Yggdrasil if anyone's playing that version. I don't know. I've seen that card in a while, but yeah.
Power up Yggdrasil, sure, why not?
Yeah. Have you seen like there's people playing, you've seen Brazen Borrower, is a playable Magic card. So I think for the non-tempo versions that don't care that much about the body, this is kind of an upgrade to that if you're also playing red.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's a great point. Like Brazen Borrower, I remember seeing that card and I was like, wow, that's gas, because it's I mean, that's the thing, is like those bounce effects, when they're good, they're fucking amazing. Like bouncing a Murktide Regent is so good. Bouncing Merit Lage, of course, so insanely good. And so then like being able to cast that and then have a 3/1 body that can follow it, or it can just be a 3/1 body if you want that side of it, was really good. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Prismari Charm kind of replacing Brazen Borrower in that slot, because the Surveil 2 draw a card, the fire mode, when that's good, that's insane. And the 3/1 side of Brazen Borrower was kind of nice to have. It's not really, and
it's not a good card though.
If your opponent's
not
on
a legacy
Borrower,
power level,
right. If your opponent's on Brazen Borrower and you're on Prismari Charm, you have a real clean answer to that Brazen Borrower.
Absolutely. Yeah, so, if you need it.
So I hadn't even thought about its comparison to Brazen Borrower, but yeah, it compares quite favorably, I think. And I really like that.
I don't necessarily know if this comes in, but there's a lot of, for me, I know I've fallen into this trap a little bit of like, you see something and it's similar to something else, and so you kind of shortcut in your mind to that. But this is return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand, notably not opponents. So unlike Brazen Borrower, you can bounce your own things. I don't know. It's a little bit of a fringe case possibly, but that's something that I kind of noticed afterwards, where it could come in. So I think this is a little bit of a slept on card possibly, but I think it'd be a role player. I don't think it's going to be an amazing card, but it's very flexible.
Yeah, I feel like I remember when I was playing Blue Red Delver, that came up a non-zero number of times. So the fact that it comes up at all is relevant. Like it's saving your Delver from or saving your creature from a Swords to Plowshares that your opponent top decked or something like that does matter a lot. Like you can fill your graveyard so much with Dragon's Rage Channelers and cards like that, and even cards like this, Surveil 2.
Yeah.
Your graveyard can get so full that it's not actually outside the realm of possibility to cast a second Murktide Regent or to recast your own Murktide Regent. And I'd rather have Murktide Regent back in my hand than have it be like solved by a pyroblast or something. So
Yeah, there for a while going around, there was a Boomerang Basics Is It Tempo deck, and being able to bounce your own permanent was useful in that. Now you don't get to draw the card, and it's additional mana, but it's something that you might want to do sometime. So just the fact
yeah.
that, like you said, it might be useful. So I think certainly in that deck, like, to the extent they're playing like one or two Brazen Borrowers, like this might be a kind of a just a
yeah, I really hadn't
straight up
even thought
replacement.
about it in the Boomerang Basics deck, but yeah, that's actually yeah, Corey Steelcutter. I mean, just Corey Steelcutter in general, like being able to bounce your own creature.
Yeah.
Like you could just be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna attack you with like my monk and my Corey Steelcutter, whatever, and then like post combat, I can bounce my Dragon's Rage Channeler and then recast it and get another monk.
In combat, deal 1 damage to this, 1 damage to their face, or deal 1 damage to something else, deal 1 damage to their face, and like give all your guys +1/+1. Turn 3, when you've already dropped Steel Cutter, oftentimes what you want to be doing is just cantripping into another spell. So the first mode on this could get you there, not efficiently by any means, but there's a lot of like preordains that were being played, a couple preordains. Like I think this could, it can do a lot. So like I said, so
yeah, very cool. Yeah, I hadn't really hadn't even considered that card, but I'm really glad you brought it up, because the more now I'm sitting here thinking about it, and I'm like, damn, my brain's turning on this thing. This card's cool.
I think it's got some legs. So we'll see. I'm definitely gonna be trying it in a couple shells. First off, at least Sneak and Show.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely seems like a really good use of the card. So, what else do we have here? Oh, so I think we kind of talked about Flow State a little bit, but we didn't really dive too much into it. We talked about it a lot last week as well. So did you have? I mean, it was me and Jordan last week. So did you have anything you wanted to add on Flow State?
Yeah, I mean, I thought you guys did a really good job covering it. I think I back up what you're saying. There's the sorcery is really the bottleneck there, I think. Again, there's not, we don't have a lot of like sorceries you can cast for free or anything, so you do have to kind of be spending turn 1, cast a sorcery, like maybe a pitch instant or a daze or something like that, turn 2, and then you can get this online usually about turn 3 at the earliest. So it is not going to be online all the time for these tempo decks. So I think that might be something that, sometimes people are living in magical Christmas land and they're kind of just looking at the best, possible state of it, and might be a little overhyped on it. That's why I think you will have to have some deck building concessions for this. You guys covered that, and I definitely agree. We'll see. There's I think, Up the Beanstalk has been something that has been in and out of the sort of zeitgeist for Legacy here for the past like year or so at this point, and this could be another card that kind of maybe pushes that out. People try to use it instead of Beans. I mean, obviously the problem, Beans is great when you have it going, but sometimes early game it's not that great, or if you don't have your other half of the deck that's triggering it. I think this can actually be a little easier to trigger. Obviously, it doesn't have the upside that Beans does staying in play, but if decks that were kind of control-ish, but we're kind of splashing green for Beans, this might be a way where they can simplify their mana base a little bit, and get some card advantage, which is always kind of sorely needed in Legacy with all the pitch spells and things like that. That this can, I never maybe see people trying this in shells that maybe didn't even exactly exist before this came out. So I think this is I think this is well deservedly the most exciting card for Legacy.
Yeah, absolutely. So so then we can also talk about Erode, which is a card that we kind of discussed last week. And so I was at a tournament this past week, and it was actually the first Magic tournament I've played in nearly 3 years,
Nice.
of any kind, and it's the first tournament with a top 8 cut in 3.5, something like that. So
okay,
it's pretty modern. It's fun. But so it's same kind of crew. So we were talking about Legacy cards, and Erode came up as a card that a lot of people were going to be trying out. They were not concerned about the fact that it destroys instead of exiles, and so I was kind of giving them crap because my friend Rory was there, and y'all know Rory Reitmeyer, I'm sure.
Right.
Rory is a notorious Lands player and is very happy as a Merit Lage gamer to know that people are swapping their Path to Exiles for Erodes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think this card's people are definitely going to try this card.
Mm-hmm.
I think I kind of stand by my thoughts on it last week. It's probably like a sideboard player. I don't
Yeah.
see it as much more than that, but I
Yeah.
think it's pretty good at doing the job that it does.
Yeah. I mean, it's I think it plays pretty well, especially early when folks aren't necessarily playing around it. It the problem is, I think if it's kind of it can be a victim of its own success, and you just don't fetch your basics. But if you're playing, against Demir, and you're playing against another Wasteland deck that's white, and you're fetching up your basics early, this becomes really good. Answer anything that Demir throws at you, even a flip Tamio, Kaito on their turn, or sorry, on your turn. So it could potentially kind of be a nightmare. But I think, once learning to play around that, and you just you keep back a basic or two, it's not a great deal when you're ramping them up as well. So I think it's a little bit tough. But I do think it'll be, I think a sideboard player, people want to try it out as well. They should. It's just there aren't a ton of planeswalkers, and otherwise, I think there's sort of better versions of this card that people are already playing. So
it's interesting. I mean, this is always been, I guess I look at an effect like this and I always see Path to Exile and I'm always like,
yeah,
but to be fair, like this does a very different thing than Path to Exile. It hits Planeswalkers, and we just saw in the most recent BCQ, we saw 2 colorless decks playing 4 copies of Karn, and I think both are playing 4 copies of Tezzeret. So this card is live in that matchup where Path to Exile is pretty much blanked.
And those cards notably are, I have to double check the deck list, but they're usually not even playing a single basic in there. So
right, yeah.
Sometimes maybe they'll start playing Waste in response.
They might play
this,
one Waste because
if
people are going to bring Erodes.
Yeah, we'll see. They'll probably have to get me with it first before I put a Waste in my deck, I think is probably what they're saying. But yeah, we'll see. That's a good point. That is a good point.
Yeah, so I think, and I don't think we really considered that when we talked about it before, is decks like that, where this card is insane against,
which are doing decks. Well.
It's just going to be like frag target creature or probably planeswalker, although it could hit a flesh rake or two, but like it's probably just going to be frag target Karn for a single mana, which is super good.
Well, if you like, if there's decks that are playing 6 to 8 planeswalkers, like you said, and then it's also just good against everything in Demir tempo. I mean, we just named 2 decks that have a pretty large meta share. Just looking at that top 8, I mean that would have been half of the top 8 or more. So, which that would have been a pretty decent sideboard card into. So I maybe I'm coming around a little bit on this. I think I think that's a good shout.
Yeah, and I think also it's one of those things where, this effect is always like this effect is really good. The second one is really good because a lot of decks will play like one basic land. Like I remember when Ghost Quarter was kind of running around, you kind of had to be prepared for like a lands player to have Ghost Quarters. So you had to have the one basic so that doesn't completely screw you. But that second Ghost Quarter is like, and now it's a strip mine.
You there's a few Death and Taxes diehards that we're still playing around in some of the locals, and they'll tell you that as well. So they'll back you up on that, where the first one maybe they get a land, and then the other ones are just like Ghost Quarters becomes a better Wasteland. You can just quarter them out of the.
It's strip mine, except that they get a shuffle, so they can shuffle away a Brainstorm or something. But I think this card is probably better than we gave it credit for last week, and I'm eager to see how people take advantage of it. Speaking of cards that I have a different opinion of last week, let's talk about Flashback.
Sure.
So Flashback, you got 2 burn mages on the broadcast who started getting hot and heavy about Flashback, and I think we definitely overestimated this card's power, but I mean, I don't know. I think a lot of people are really cold on it. I think it's got some interesting applications. I think definitely the burn applications really intrigued Jordan in particular. Like I mentioned that you could flashback Price of Progress, and he just like
Yeah.
his brain literally exploded on camera. But so, what are your thoughts about flashback?
Yeah, I mean, I think just at its face, it's not a great card. Anytime you're adding a mana onto anything in Legacy, anytime it gets kind of hit by graveyard hate and things like that, it's tough. But I when I initially looked at it, I thought it was going to be like a Storm Wish target for sure. Like you wouldn't be able to stop me. I don't play that deck, but you wouldn't be able to stop me putting one in my sideboard at least, trying it out early and just being able to recur some stuff for 1 man. I think that's a good deal when you can be doing something like that. The burn's interesting. I mean, you know, the burn players are going to kill me, but I haven't seen a lot of them around.
Well,
So so we'll see. I mean, they know better than me on that. I mean, again, I think it's probably pretty cool to have like your fifth Price of Progress in the deck against
yeah,
some matchups at least. So I think that's pretty cool. Yeah, we'll see. Snapcaster Mage hasn't really been played for a while. The 2/1 body is maybe less relevant now than it ever has been with Bowmasters and just like lots of little tokens that even the non-creature decks have like little tokens they can chump block things and stuff like that. So yeah, maybe flashback is what the doctor ordered for some of these. So we'll see. Yeah.
yeah, it's yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. Again, I think we talked about it last week, and I was like, in burn, if you're building some kind of crazy burn list that has like two or three copies of this
Right.
because you're intentionally
Yeah.
trying to flashback Price specifically. I
Mm-hmm.
think
Yeah,
maybe
your
you
strongest
could
card.
continue doing more stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think at most this is maybe like a one of in like
Yeah.
you know. But I think that I would rather have cards from this set that I would rather have in slots like that in decks where I would want something like flashback or Prismari Charms probably up there.
Right.
And I mean, there's all kinds of other
Mm-hmm.
stuff that already
Yeah.
exists that is very interesting in those
Yeah,
slots.
I mean,
So
by its nature, it's situational. I mean, something has to be that you want to target has to be in your already gotten into your graveyard. So either you cast it or got Thoughtseize or something. I think, my mind when I first saw it went to decks that have one card in the deck that's really good. And I
yeah,
think that's like a target for those types of decks where it's like, if I can resolve this spell, it works. So it gets countered. I then flash it back next turn. I land drop, flash it back next turn, go again. It
yeah,
can probably give you some tricky stuff. If you were to have like gifts ungiven or something like that, maybe there's some stuff out there that we haven't really thought about yet. So I think it's a really cool card to exist. But I think I'm struggling a little bit to think aside from being in like wish boards. I'm
yeah.
struggling to just myself think about it. So love to hear comments or other folks that have some ideas for this. But yeah, I could definitely see burn decks like burn that have one card that's really good. That's an instant or sorcery that
Mhm.
you want to flash back and just cast as many times and have as many copies as you can. This gives you extra copies.
Yeah, but it's also I think um, or something I was thinking about was the possibility of a metagame like if we remember the expressive iteration metagame
Mm-hmm.
where the metagame sort of became well, especially the mirror of Blue Red Delver, which was everywhere, really became about who could resolve the most expressive iterations and gain the most
Yeah.
value off of them.
Mm-hmm.
And so if that is the metagame we're careening towards with flow state, I'm not saying that we will, but if that is the
Sure.
metagame that we see,
Mm-hmm.
then I could see this card having additional value because snapcastering flow state is real hard to do. That's two generic and two
Yes.
blue.
Yeah.
Flashing it back, or flashing it back
Right.
with flashback, the
Mm-hmm.
spell, is a lot easier. That's 3 mana.
Yeah.
That's much more
Mm-hmm.
affordable in a matchup that's full of dazes and wastelands. And then of course
Absolutely.
we also have Mystic Sanctuary, which I'm sure we'll see a comeback in a flow state metagame like that.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
that's a possible future that I could see where this card is like a one. Again, it's like a one of, maybe a two. I really don't
Mm-hmm.
think it would be a two of,
Mm-hmm.
but I could see this card as like a one of in a metagame like that if we're just trying to resolve as many flow states for as much value as we can.
Yeah, like the mirror breaker tech, stuff like
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. So let's move on from flashback to well, we already talked about Prismatic Charm. Let's talk about another charm from Secrets of Strixhaven. Let's talk about Witherbloom Charm.
Yeah.
So this is a green and a black instance. Choose one. The modes are sack a permanent. If you do, draw 2 cards, gain 5 life, or destroy a non-land permanent with mana value 2 or less. So like kind of a bad abrupt decay. So what do you think about this card?
So the modes on this I'm the most excited about are the draw 2 cards. I think that's solid. It sacrifice any permanent. So, maybe late game, you sacrifice a land. I had on my notes here, it could be something into the Pox decks. I don't see a lot of those locally, but I see a lot online. And, they like ways to sacrifice things. So that could be something there where you're like, make a bunch of 1/1s, sack my land, make a bunch of 1/1s,
Right, the hatchery,
draw 2 cards. That seems like a good way to kind of continue your game plan there. I heard folks talking, before we got on, that the gain 5 life can be really relevant for Doomsday players. I feel like they're the type of player that if they're already thinking about splashing green for some interaction, especially into like blue-black decks and things like that, that this can be really useful. Kill a Bowmaster or just gain 5 life and kind of go over top of Bowmaster. It could be certainly a nice like pile one of for Doomsday players. There's Sultai kind of beans control type of things. One of the things, again, I did that thing which I was talking about before, which you see another card that's similar to this, and you kind of default to that. This is destroy non-land permanent, full stop. It's not non-creature, non-land permanent. So you can destroy a Bowmaster with it. You can destroy a lot of things from those artifact decks that are getting pretty popular. We've been seeing them in the top 8s. I mean, you could kill, a lot. You could really slow them down by hitting one of their mana rocks or something like that. Kind of break up the early mana plays.
Everything in Delver except
I think this one,
except for Murktide, because you can hit a Quarry Steelcutter.
Except for Murktide, yeah. And if you erase them, I guess you gain the 5 life, or you just try to draw cards and find your answer. So yeah, I mean, I think this one grew on me a little bit since preview season, where I think it was huge. Like obviously noticing that it's like you could destroy creatures with this as well.
Yeah.
You can destroy a Tameo. There's a lot of I think green black has a lot of these cards, so I think it's tough, but I think people will probably find the right number between this and the Witherbloom Command and things like that. This is an instant, which is awesome for those control decks. You can hold up your mana. The versatility is kind of off the charts. I mean, the gain 5 life is the worst version, but the fact that can really matter. I mean, sometimes those Sultai control decks sort of stabilize at a really low life total. And if you have the mana, that's usually not the issue. And you just have this and kind of hold it up like, this is almost like, counter 2 bolt, So
yeah,
I think this one it looks good. We'll see. I haven't been playing a lot of black green lists, so leave it up to anyone that's a little bit more the expert. But I could see this having a lot of different shells, and I'd be excited to kind of get back, sleeve up my my green, black, and blue lands again, and maybe try this out in some of those Sultai control stuff that I was doing some of last year.
Yeah, I think you make some really good points. I think the modes slide really nicely into the metagame. I think you have even just the draw mode is also something that you can deploy. I mean, this is not why you play the card, but it does offer you the ability to sacrifice a land that's getting wastelanded or some other permanent that's getting removed or swords or something. So on its way out, you also get to just draw 2 cards off of it. It's like the Altar's Reap or the what do you call them?
Deadly Dispute. Several of those.
Deadly Dispute.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like a bad deadly. Like it's the effect is worse than Deadly Dispute's effect, but Deadly Dispute only does that thing. This card does way more, and really the best mode on it is probably the removal mode, generally speaking. But then the draw 2 cards is I think you make some really good points, and I think this card is definitely. I always look at Witherbloom Command, and I'm like, this card feels so close, and I think this card is. I think it's probably competing for the slot, and I think it's maybe just a
Mm-hmm.
little bit better, but it also
Yeah.
might be more specific on how good the life gain is specifically.
Yeah, the fact with Withermoon Command that you can choose multiple modes still has kind of a place in my heart. I mean, yeah, I've killed many, like a kill a bowmaster, return a wasteland, type of thing. But it is this is much less narrow.
Yeah,
And I think, like you said, I think we've got a lot of expert players in the DMV area, and I think this is kind of a nightmare to play against for them, like you said, where they can hold this up with some other options. You try to remove something, they sack it, draw two. Having the instant speed, you flash in Bowmaster, they draw two at instant speed, which is nice. Or they just kill it if they need that. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of tricks to this one. So excited to see it.
hell yeah. Unfortunately, I mean, I looked at the silver quill charm, and like,
Hmm. Yeah.
it's not
Yeah,
not on the
maybe
same
we'll get
level.
some. I don't remember I guess it's Lorehold. Maybe we'll get some cats players wanting to pump all of their cats and kill you even faster. But I feel like that's a little bit unnecessary at that point. So we'll see. You can make them sack a one ring, something like that. But that one's certainly not as strong, I think, as the first two of the charms that we were talking about.
Yeah, and then you have like Quandrix charm, which is, well, you get it's sort of spell pierce, but it's any spell, and then
Yeah.
destroyed enchantment or
Uh,
target creature becomes a 5/5 until end of turn.
yeah,
Well,
it's
that'd
a
be great
quench.
if infect was still a deck, but
Right.
infect is
Yeah.
not still a deck. So,
Exactly.
um,
Well, maybe people would be, sleeving up their infect deck again. Try this out.
yeah.
I don't know. But
So
yeah.
that's probably gonna cut. Yeah, thanks producers. Gotcha. Got me covered.
Hmm.
Bringing up the Quandrix charm for me.
Hmm.
So I think that's pretty much all we have to discuss on the Secrets of Strixhaven cards. So we're gonna see starting tomorrow. We'll start seeing these cards hitting NTGO. That's when the real test starts and the real metagame
Yep.
exploration begins. And so keep an eye out for some of these flow state decks coming out. People figure out the best flow state deck list, seeing how much of an impact a road makes on on the metagame and card choices. And we'll see if Prismari Charm can make an impact. I think you're right about this card. I think it's kind of a sneaky
Yeah.
sleeper here. Um,
Yeah.
I will
You
also
heard you
say,
heard it here first on the Beltway report, right?
hell yeah. I will also say that I noticed a card recently in this set that I had not seen in the spoiler season, which is Vibrant Outburst, which is the
Hmm.
same mana cost as Prismari Charm, and unfortunately much worse. But it's Incinerate plus tap a permanent, or sorry, a
Hmm.
creature. Um, yeah. Uh, this
It's a
card's
very
cool.
tempo positive card if you need that. Yeah.
Yeah, I like am perpetually stuck in evaluating cards through like a 2016 Legacy lens, and I'm like, man, I could tap a Gurmag Angler and hit their face, and I'm like, wait,
Yeah.
people don't play Gurmag Anglers anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, not quite. I think I'd much rather have Prismari Charm, especially because the fail
Hmm.
case is a really nice cantrip. But um,
Yeah.
and like yeah, I'd much rather bounce their Murktide than tap it. So, but
Hmm.
but I love this card. This card's really cool. I just wanted to mention that. Another terrible red card.
Yeah, there is one more where it's blue, red, and X. I don't remember now. The producer are gonna kill me because I didn't
Is it
tell him this
Traumatic
beforehand.
Critique?
But now that you're mentioning it, it might. Yeah, is that the one where you draw and discard
Yeah,
and
it's a
deal X damage?
X blue red, X to any target, and draw two, then
Yeah,
discard one.
yeah. So I mean, there's been there's this there's like a reanimate deck that sometimes will top eight, or you see like 5-0 league or something every once in a while online. People still trying to do the blue black reanimator, and that being basically kind of like a better version of what they're using to discard right now. It's an instant as well. I think is interesting at a
Yeah,
minimum. Maybe there's some cards or there's some decks that are going to be playing red and want to kind of fill up their graveyard. We just haven't seen something like this before,
yeah,
and just without dealing any damage, this is like a very like fringe playable card. I think
yeah,
this is something to maybe keep an eye on, that it might do something. Obviously, it's a horrible rate to be doing damage, but you're already getting the draw two discard. So if you want things in your graveyard specifically, I think this could be a neat something to look at.
Yeah, I mean, well, we've talked about flow state. We have Mercantile
Mhm.
Regent. Those are cards that care about those things. I
Yep.
think that's a really good point to note on this card. Is a lot of the times these cards like this, before fire design perhaps, would say X
Mm.
can't be 0. This does not say that. So if you envision this as
Right.
like kicker X and a fireball is the
Yep.
kicker,
Kind of a bonus in there. Yep.
that kind of is a different way of maybe framing the way that you look at this card. Like it's just
Hmm.
blue red rather, draw 2, pitch 1, with
Yeah.
the upside of like, yeah, maybe I have a shit ton of mana later in the game. Like maybe
Hmm.
it, like even like a sneak and show where you have like ancient tombs and stuff.
Yeah.
Oops, like
Any
I'm just gonna
target, so it
6
can
you
go
at the end of the
face.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. It can kill a bowmaster for 3 mana, and you're drawing stuff. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, it deals the
Well,
damage
you
first,
don't
right? So
you don't want to do that because Bowmaster will die to state based after the spell resolves. So you're going to draw the
okay.
cards first,
There
and
you
it's
go.
going to
Yeah,
trigger
because
the
it's
Bowmaster.
damage. Okay. Yeah.
And that's
Well.
probably going to be enough to make this card not playable. Because if it did cleanly answer Bowmaster, I think you'd
Right.
be
Right.
right. But
Okay. Good shout.
but because it would trigger Bowmaster anyway, yeah, I
Hmm.
think that might be enough to kill this thing. But we'll
Got it.
see.
Got it.
I
Yeah.
do think it's a cool card.
Hmm.
Yeah. So there's a lot of cool cards in this set. This set's awesome. I'm
Yeah.
really excited to see how it turns out.
Absolutely.
All right, so that we'll conclude the card spoiler section there, and we'll roll into uh, some announcements coming next Beltway report. We will have some major announcements to make about the DMV Super League, which we announced in the patch notes. So if you haven't watched the patch notes video, go watch it. It's awesome. But and we're already in the middle of the season, but just review it. DMV Super League is coming up soon. We're gonna have a lot more details about that and on the next Beltway report. So make sure that you tune in next time, and you'll get all the juicy details. And yeah, we're so excited about this project, this feature, if you will, of the league, the DMV Super League. We hopped in a call on Discord, and accidentally 5 hours passed, and we were still cooking up plans. Like legitimately, we just got in the kitchen, and we are really excited to share this with everybody and put this out to the world. So make sure you tune in next week, or not next week, in 2 weeks for the next Beltway report, and get those details. So
Absolutely.
Jason, I
I'm
think
excited.
so we have another BCQ coming up, right, Jason?
Yeah, yeah. So this is going to be right in my neck of the woods, Curio Cavern on May 2nd. So that's right by Springfield Mall there. They're having a BCQ. They're a great store. We'll be calling out our stores next, but they're a wonderful spot, and come by if you can. They've got lots of parking, and it should be exciting because we haven't, well, there are less of them this year, which makes them feel a little bit more, premium and special. Um, these things are just awesome to have in this area, so I am stoked. I will definitely be signing up. They have lots of space in there too, so I think one of the ones I got to last year was almost 50 players. So
Wow. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, they have a good space down there. That's actually technically that's the closest store to me too. I think I'm about 10
Hmm.
minutes from that store. So
Yeah,
I might
they had to close it up. The
pop my
Commander
face in.
players were upset that day when we were like sold out. So
Yeah. So, and I think you noted it's a premium BCQ, which means 2 slots. So, as we were
Mhm.
discussing from the Dice City BCQ, get out there, and yeah, I mean, players are
May
starting to
2nd.
qualify. They're starting to roll those invites out. So, you never know how far those invites will trickle down, and
Absolutely.
or just run hot and win a BCQ and earn your place. So, yeah, hope to see you guys out there. And so, speaking of places you can play in BCQs, we want to close by giving a shout out to Hashtag Gaming Arena and Labyrinth Games and Puzzles, 2 of our wonderful stores in the DMV Legacy League, and a special thanks to our gold stores, Curio Cavern, Dice City Games, Game Haven, Level Up, and Paradise Games and Gifts, all our wonderful patrons from those stores, and they will be the hosts of our premium BCQs this season. So, as we mentioned, DCG just happened, and then we have Curio Cavern coming up. So, yeah, thanks to all of those stores. They help us allow us to do this thing that we do, and so and also they create the communities that we are trying to bind together with the DMV Legacy League. So can't thank them enough for that.
Yeah, really, really awesome to have this community. So super thankful.
All right. Well, I think that just about wraps it up for us. So, thanks y'all for tuning in, and let us know what you think of our card evaluations in the comments. Feel free to flame me, but just keep it the constructive criticism if you can. No personal insults if you mind, but deeply
I'll be sending
appreciate it.
those. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Yeah, you and Jordan, you guys can give the personal insults. Everybody else, yeah, be nice. Uh, but yeah, we'll hope to see you all on the tables playing Legacy at the BCQs, especially the one in Curio Cavern, and at your weeklies. And thanks for tuning in.
Thanks so much for having me on, Jameson, and thanks to our producers, and signing off. Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks, James.